Italy is once again feeling the heat of the financial turmoil in Europe. The Moody's agency has downgraded its credit rating by 3 notches. It means Italy now has a lower rating than Estonia. Moody's is warning there may be more downgrades to come. Europe correspondent Philip Williams reports.
It seems not a day goes by without another negative Eurozone development, and in the last 24 hours there have been more than one. The most recent, another downgrade of Italy's credit rating. Moody's mood decidedly downbeat as it cut the country's creditworthiness from AA2 to A2 with a negative outlook.
It means markets are focusing very much on Italy's weaknesses now, having for a long time been reassured by the relative strength of its financial system. Now they're looking at its political weakness, its inability to grow economically, and it's a bad sign. It's a sign of a lack of confidence in Italy's ability to solve its problems.
All of this puts more pressure on Italian banks, making it harder and more expensive to borrow. And troubled banks is the last thing Europe needs, but it's got it anyway, with the French and Belgian governments forced to intervene to break up the debt-laden Dexia Bank and guarantee deposits of up to €100,000.
We want to guarantee the continuity of the banking activities of Dexia Bank Belgium in Belgium.
Deutsche Bank too has issued a profit warning and says hundreds of jobs will have to go. And perhaps even more worryingly, just as happened after the Lehman Brothers collapse in 2008, European banks are wary about lending to each other for fear of high exposure to sovereign debt.
We see that in Europe, banks are putting more and more money overnight back to the ECB, and that means that the interbank market in which banks lend to each other, that one is not working any longer. So we are in a way back to the situation we had after the default of Lehman.
What everyone fears is that a sovereign debt crisis that started in Greece is cross-infecting the banking system and slowing an already precarious global recovery.
One of the reasons that our recovery has been slower this year than it was last year is that we've faced a lot of financial volatility, and some of that is coming from the European situation.
And while Britain isn't in the Eurozone, it can't escape the reverberations.
I think what's going on in Europe, what's going on in the European banking system, just confirms my view that this is going to do damage to the British economy, indeed is doing damage at the moment.
In the place all this trouble first appeared, another 24-hour strike. The Greek air traffic controllers joining other public servants and utility workers walking off the job, stranding passengers at Athens airport.
The problem is with all the strikes in Greece that mostly the small people have the problems, and all the people with a lot of money have not the problems.
Here in Britain, the Prime Minister David Cameron has a difficult balancing act when he addresses his party conference in a couple of hours' time. He will warn of dark days ahead, but also says there is optimism, light at the end of the tunnel. Quite a balancing act, given the region he lives in. Philip Williams, Late Line.